protecting his body as he came in. And look how far up the line he is. He's a good 10 feet from the home plate right now, as you see in that video. So, you know, what was the point of being down? So it's a judgment call. It's a judgment call. Now how Gillier has moved all the way around the plate, and he makes the call. You might say Gillier is interesting here because he is so emotional. I actually don't fault him for that. And I would love to see umpires under more control and to be more calm, cool, and collected. But, man, you know, this is the College World Series. You know, I don't really blame him. I mean, he got in there. He was excited. I would much rather him be that way than be uninvolved, disinterested, and not really into it. Look at that play right there. Freeze that. Stay with it. You see where his distance is? He would be too close to that play had the play been happening at home plate. But watch how he adjusted his position and came up the line. He is now 15 feet from the play. Pretty damn good position. Pretty damn good. I didn't like him moving, but pretty damn good position. Now he's going to make the call. He thinks he's seen it well, and, you know, we move on from there. Watch the end of the play as we let it go from here. Watch what the catcher does. Go ahead and put the audio back on.
3 or 4 in college baseball, you can't try to run over guys. Just totally different from professional baseball. So that's what happened.
Well, what do you think about Tom McGinnis?
And Corey Stevens, the cleanup hitter, has been ejected for coming in and taking on the catcher, Buddy Monroe.
He lost it, Greg.
That's a different rule in college than it is in Major League Baseball. So what you're allowed to do as a base runner to try and knock the ball out of the catcher's hand.
John, I think right there where we've stopped it is where the catcher had gone in and actually got into the guy's face a little bit. And there's been several guys who have asked questions and made comments that, and I think Phelps Prescott had made a good point that Tony was going to address for a moment whenever you finish, and that was what happened with the catcher at the tail end with the slamming of the ball and that kind of stuff.
Fortunately for those of us that were in Atlanta, Paul Gillier was in Atlanta, and those questions were asked of him, and he said in the you know, the chaos, if you look at him, he sees the collision, sees the guys around it, and he's trying at this point to protect the runner because he's worried that the catcher's going to come back at him. So he doesn't really see clearly the turnaround and the bark. He does see some of it, and that's when right there he sees what's going on there. So he's trying to get in to protect the catcher, the runner right there. And one of the issues you have now is what do you do with the catcher? Is that a spontaneous, you know, outburst of emotion and you let it go? Some of you may say yes, some of you may say no, and then later you see the catcher run over and spike the ball. Well, Gillier said he and none of his partners saw the kid spike the ball because he'd kind of moved out of the scrum. So when he spikes the ball, he's pretty much out of the vision of the umpires because Gillier is concentrating on the runner, wants to make sure that he's not going to be harmed or go back in. The base umpires are concentrating on the dugouts, trying to prevent the dugouts from coming out so nobody sees the kid spike the ball. Gillier said if they had seen the kid spike the ball, they would have gone over and addressed Florida's dugout and taken care of it. How, it's hard to say because they didn't see it. So, you know, whether they're going to warn him or bench jockey him or warn him or tell him, you know, something like that. But they did. And I believe he said, too, at the time, they issued warnings right after that, too. and somebody else that was in Atlanta can correct me. I think I'm pretty sure that's what he said, is they did issue warnings, and this is a case where you have to issue warnings after a play like this just to protect your own self and the other players. You can never be hurt in NCAA baseball by issuing a warning. It can't hurt you, and it can only help you protect the safety of the student athlete, and that's what you have to think about.
Now, I don't know how many people thought that the runner threw a forearm or not, and would have penalized it the same way. I'm not criticizing that judgment. Okay, that's not what we're here for. But Gillier is on the play, sees it the way he sees it, calls it the way he calls it, and handles the situation pretty damn well. And in fact, the more I see this, the more I like it. The first time I saw it in the World Series, I says, "Wow, he's kind of out there." But I don't really mind that. I like that emotion. I like the fact that he stepped in hard. I hope he was in total control and he was breathing, breathing well. But the question is moot. The real issue now is he calls the guy for throwing the forearm. He's going to have him out at the plate because he's obviously out at the plate. Now he's going to throw him out of the game because of the contact that he's going to punish him for. Now, after all of that, the catcher goes over and leans his body down right in the ear of the runner who's on the ground, and then taunts him, and then comes up and spikes the ball. Well, the best thing that could have happened for that catcher is that nobody's really paying attention to him. I mean, nobody's really paying attention because we have this great play. Everybody in the ballpark is focusing on safer out. Now they're focusing on Gillier's call, and nobody's really paying attention to the catcher. But even if you do, are you going to also throw the catcher out for his actions? I mean, if they weren't coming after a play like that, maybe throwing the catcher out might have been warranted. But if you're going to say the runner throws a forearm at him, the catcher really didn't do all that much, did he? So it's an interesting thing. We'll see what your poll says. But the big thing to watch out here that's not really a big part of this video, let Gillier handle the play at the plate. Until we have a big argument there, there's nothing to do. But there's going to be players spilling over on the field now. There are going to be coaches spilling over on the field. Wing umpires. On this play, you got to watch your benches and get them under control. That's your first job. Let Gillier handle the mess around home plate until you're needed for help or support there. And that's all I really have on this play. It looks like the poll results are, did he throw a forearm? It was 55 to 45. I mean, it's not all that clear even to all of you guys. Watching the video and watching that contact happen, I guess we've seen it 10 times already in this video, we still don't have a consensus to it. Pretty interesting. But it's not really a question of that. It's a question of how did we handle the game, how did we handle the situation, and how nicely it was done. Wing umpires not showing, get control of the dugouts. This was well done. Next play.
Sorry, John, I got all enthralled in my poll.
I've heard that about you.
Yeah.
Palmer, the head coach of the Southern Miss Golden Eagles, is with us from the dugout for his interview. And Coach, what were you just told by the umpires as to why you lost your cleanup hitter?
Said he threw a forearm. In college baseball, you can't try to run over guys. Just totally different professional baseball. So that's what happened.
Well, what do you think about Tom McGinnis?
You're working first base, and the following play happens. After you got yourself in perfect position and clearly saw the fielder come off the bag, you look out of the corner of your eye and see the coach trotting towards you. You know exactly what he's going to say.